All right, we are coming to you live with some breaking news right now. We have a real traffic mess on the Bay Bridge eastbound. We have some live pictures coming in right now, but various lanes of the lower deck are now closed. There's some sort of police activity going on there. This is just west of Treasure Island Road. We heard that there was a person walking around causing some sort of stir. We are seeing cars starting to move there. At one point, all lanes of the Bay Bridge were closed going eastbound. Now they've been able to open up a couple of center lanes from what we understand, but the traffic backup leaving San Francisco is just going to be massive. Here are some of the pictures we're getting in right now. You can see crews there appear to be talking to somebody and trying to get them out of danger as traffic does continue to move behind them. And we have our photographer, Eric Berkeley, at the scene right now. Eric, how long have you been there? What can you tell us?
Yeah, I got on the freeway about an hour ago, and traffic is starting to move. But after being on the bridge here for about a good 30 minutes, I just came on a scene on the far right side of the lane here where there was a bunch of police and fire crews all blocking it off. But they have now allowed the rest of the traffic to continue east over the East Bay area into Oakland, and now traffic is clearing out.
Okay, very good news there. And let's take a live look at our live traffic map right now. You can see that red going up to that area, coming out of the city and up to that midway point there by Treasure Island on the Bay Bridge. That is where it has been red as people are trying to get through that area. It's almost 4:30, so this is almost prime time for traffic leaving the city going into the East Bay. So there's going to certainly be some residual trouble there. As you can see, plenty of red there in the city on the approach to the Bay Bridge. Eric, I know you're still with us. If you can talk a little bit about what it was like getting to the Bay Bridge, or where were you coming from? I know you were probably on some other assignment for us here at CBS News Bay Area.
Yeah, I came into San Francisco about a couple hours ago to get some maintenance done here in the city. And then on my way back, I was traveling east on, I believe I was near Harrison Street, and getting on the freeway was just backed up for a good 30 minutes before I got on the freeway.
Yeah. Okay. And we've seen this. I know you spend a lot of time out there in Bay Area traffic. When there's an issue on the bridge, those residual delays can last several hours.
Yeah, I had an assignment to get over the bridge at about 4:30, but as soon as I noticed that I wasn't going anywhere and getting on the 80 freeway going east,
Yeah.
it just didn't seem like I was going to be able to get to my assignment on time.
Yeah. And then, of course, you got a new assignment, a breaking news assignment, talking us through this, which we appreciate. And again, for our viewers, from what we understand, nobody has been injured. We haven't heard anything about any sort of crash or injury. It was just this stir that this person who was walking around there on the lower decks was causing. And we don't know the status of that person right now. So, Eric, were you able to see anything as you went past that area?
Absolutely not. Just a lot of traffic, just being held up for quite a bit of time. The only time I actually saw any sort of presence of anything was probably within the last 5 minutes when I was pulling over to the center lane on the bridge, and I could see to my right that once I started moving a little bit more and traffic started to open up, police and fire crews were looking over the bridge to see what was going on.
Okay. So when we see something like this, there's always concern that, this might have been somebody who might have been trying to jump off the bridge. Again, we don't know what this person's situation was, but what we do know is that it is certainly causing a major traffic problem on the bridge. Let's just give people a little perspective of what we're talking about here. That incident occurring just west of Treasure Island Road, just west of that exit. And so that is where the backup begins. Everything, that is east of that has been running smoothly. But as far as anybody trying to make it past that point, that has been the trouble. Again, we have good word now that at least 1, 2 of the lanes have been reopened, so hopefully that will get things moving in the right direction. But we don't know the status of the so-called police activity. That's all officers will tell us, which is common in events like this, some sort of police activity that had shut down the bridge. But it really is awful timing for anybody trying to get out of the city and get over to the East Bay right now. Again, we're talking about the lower deck. There was a person who was out of a vehicle walking around, causing some sort of stir that called the CHP, and it potentially, it looks like some maybe Caltrans workers there trying to make contact with that person and figure out what is going on. We are taking a look from our chopper right now, and you can see the traffic is moving. So again, really good news. But we tend to see during these times is the traffic really backing up in the city, and it can take hours to get across the Bay Bridge. So there are a couple alternate routes. Actually, we might want to throw that traffic map up again and see how things are looking, because you can use the Golden Gate Bridge. I don't know if we can pull out on that view a little bit. You have your options of the Golden Gate Bridge or going south to the San Mateo Bridge if you have to get across the bay. Public transit appears to also be a good option right now, but getting onto the Bay Bridge from the city, not a good choice for the next, I would say, at least an hour. But again, this is an evolving situation. We're learning about this as you do here. And this is some video. I don't know, was this, Eric, are you still with us? Is this some video that you took earlier? Oh, I don't know if you can see our video.
Yeah, I'm still here. That's correct.
Okay. You were able to take some video of basically the slow moving traffic. I mean, the good news is that you were able to move.
I was. It did take a while. I would just like to add that looking at my watch here and looking at the time that I got on the freeway, you're talking a good 30 minutes, maybe a little bit more, until traffic really started to pick up again. And like you said, it seemed like the point where I was on the bridge where it started moving was around the Treasure Island area. That seems to be correct. And I just want to confirm what you guys already know as well.
Right. So it looks like the incident was right at that Treasure Island junction, that west of Treasure Island Road. That is where a person was out of their car, walking around on the bridge. There were some reports of this person potentially climbing over the railing there. And of course, the fear is that they might be trying to jump off of the bridge, and crews out there trying to make sure that that doesn't happen. And we don't know the motivation right now. We just know the results, at least in the short term, major traffic backup. Because at one point, this all started before 4 o'clock, I would say about 3:45, 20 to 4. And at that point, all lanes of the lower deck, all eastbound lanes going out of the city, were shut down completely for a while. So that backup grows very quickly when you see something like that happen. And that is when our photographer, who has been on the scene, Eric, appeared to have gotten in there. But what was your timing, Eric? It seems as if you had made it past the point where there was standstill traffic. Like you were there, you got there when things were moving to some extent?
Yeah, it really, the standstill really began before the freeway, and I noticed something was a little bit out of the ordinary, and I needed to contact the news desk. The news desk said then that there was somebody on a rafter of some sort, and that they were covering that with the chopper. And then as soon as I got closer to getting on the freeway, it was a complete standstill. And then got on the freeway. It took like another 20 minutes, and then 20 minutes just to get off of the mainland in San Francisco, the peninsula area, that is still going less than 5 miles an hour. And I would say at other points it was probably just standstill for like a good 10 minutes. And then we started moving a little bit more. I started hearing fire trucks and police. There was a bunch of motorcyclists speeding by, so
All
they
right.
seem to get a good handle of getting head further than
All
I
right.
was
Now,
able to.
we are watching live pictures from our chopper of what appears to be the person who caused this stir climbing around on the rafters outside of the Bay Bridge. So, obviously, a very unsafe situation. He's been climbing upward, which would be toward the westbound lanes of the Bay Bridge. So, we might see some closures in the westbound direction as well. These are live pictures, and I'm not seeing any law enforcement trying to get this guy down, or at least not in any sort of manner that they're chasing this person. That's a very delicate situation, obviously, because you don't want anybody to make a rash move. All right, now it looks like he is potentially trying to crawl over that railing. This person is now on the upper deck of the Bay Bridge, right by the westbound lanes. That is after the eastbound lanes were closed down earlier when he had climbed over the railing on the lower deck. And now it appears that they're just walking there along the westbound lanes, which of course is not allowed, but does not appear to be stopping traffic, at least at this juncture. That remains to be seen if that's something that the CHP is going to do to try to actually get this person down. And I got to tell you, we're being judicious about what we show you on live television because we don't know what's going to happen with this person, and if this person might be attempting to take their own life or other various issues, because the person does appear to be having some sort of problem. Let's go back here to our live traffic map. That's where you can see the traffic mess that is being created coming out of the city right now. And you can see plenty of red there, not only on the Bay Bridge, but approaching the Bay Bridge. And that is coming from all of the angles there in the Soma, the East Cut area of San Francisco financial district. And this is just about the time when this would be a real problem as far as traffic impacts. So we're going to keep an eye on that. Again, you do have your alternates. You've got the Golden Gate Bridge and the San Mateo Bridge, or taking public transit, which is probably your best option right now. We are facing the distinct possibility that there's going to be some closures or slowdowns on the upper deck, on the westbound side of the Bay Bridge, because of the fact that we saw the person in question, the person who appears to have started all of this, walking around where people are not supposed to be walking. So we are keeping an eye on exactly what is going on there. You're taking a live look right now at traffic moving on the upper deck. You can see westbound traffic is moving, and we've been watching it move eastbound as well. And we've been talking with one of our news photographers who got rerouted from another assignment to go to the Bay Bridge and try to figure out what was happening, because all we've heard from police is that there was some police activity that had shut down the lanes. Eric, are you still on the line?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Could you talk a little bit more just about the approach to the Bay Bridge? You said when you got the call, you knew that something was going on. You were around Harrison Street, which is right by the Bay Bridge. Could you give us any perspective on the sort of backup that was already being created there to get onto the bridge?
I could say it was probably a good half a mile, maybe a mile until I could get onto the bridge. And heading east, it was just so backed up. I just couldn't get anywhere until I started cutting through some traffic safely to get over to the freeway.
Safely,
Because
of
you know
course.
how hard traffic is in San Francisco at this time of day. It's pretty
Absolutely.
backed up. Yeah.
And
But I've
that
never
was
seen it like that.
that was what? That was at least a half an hour ago at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I got the call to head back to my assignment about half hour before the breaking news of this incident occurred, and I just thought to myself, something seems a little out of the ordinary at this time of the day. I know there's traffic, but there's got to be something going on.
Yeah.
That's when I was informed that there was something definitely going on below the bridge.
Okay. So it's only going to get worse from there. This is video. If my producers can let me know, is this live video? Okay, this is video that was taken earlier, and you can see crews there trying to reach the person who had climbed over the railing there on the lower deck of the Bay Bridge. That is what started all of this at, it was about maybe 45 minutes ago at this point. Oh, actually, it was almost an hour ago at this point when this all started. That was when crews were trying to get that person to safety and started shutting down the lanes of the lower deck of the Bay Bridge. That is the westbound direction. So anybody coming out of the city trying to make it into Oakland and the East Bay were then faced with these lane closures. At one point, all of the lanes were closed, and a major traffic backup started. You can see those fire trucks that were there as well. Very delicate operation, because if somebody is close to jumping, you don't want to push them over the edge. You don't want to make a dangerous situation turn deadly, even though it's obviously an extreme inconvenience to hundreds, potentially thousands of people when it comes to the traffic being shut down on the Bay Bridge at around rush hour on a Wednesday afternoon. So we had all lanes shut down. Some of them have been reopened. Traffic is starting to move again eastbound on the Bay Bridge, but there is a real mess as we're taking a live look here at our traffic maps. Real mess getting onto the Bay Bridge, and then a real slow slog until you get to Treasure Island, west of Treasure Island Road. That is where this person ended up out of a vehicle, causing this stir on the Bay Bridge. We do have some more video now. We've been talking with one of our photographers, Eric, who got rerouted from his assignment to go check out what was going on the Bay Bridge. So there's traffic that's obviously moving there, and you can see some of the crews in the right-hand lane. Those are the people that were trying to deal with this person who was out of their car. You can see police and fire engines there, Caltrans. They have to have all hands on deck to try to make sure that you're able to not only control the traffic, but also control the medical situation that is being caused by this person, whatever is going on with that person, and make sure that it's safe for everybody involved. The westbound lanes, now this is live, I'm being told. So the westbound lanes are still moving. Everything's moving slowly in both directions at this point. We've lost our view, as far as what I can tell here, of the person, but this person was climbing on the rafters. All right, there is that person in the middle there of your screen. This person had climbed from the lower deck to the upper deck. So now they're walking there on what appears to be the outside of the railing, with a couple of people walking behind that person, in theory trying to make contact and trying to get them out of this predicament that they are in, but it does not appear to be working. Again, we are watching this live as you are as well, watching this unfold. And it's always amazing to see just how one person's decisions can, affect the lives of so many others. But we are going to keep an eye on this as the traffic troubles continue. Hopefully that will get better. But since it's almost 5 o'clock, it probably is only going to get worse as more people try to get off work and make their way over to the East Bay. We've seen this happen time and time again, and how the side streets, I know even by our station here on Battery Street, Battery and Broadway, it will just be backed up, and you'll go through several lights, not moving at all, trying to make it to the Bay Bridge. So this could be a real nightmare commute for a lot of people. Again, you do have the alternates. You have the Golden Gate Bridge. You have the San Mateo Bridge. And they are moving. Traffic is moving, again, both eastbound and westbound right now. But that person who caused the initial issue is still there on the bridge. It does not appear to be accessible to emergency crews, who I'm guessing are the two people following that person who is in the lead walking right now. Walking, if that is the westbound lane, walking eastbound, they appear to be walking eastbound on the Bay Bridge. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. So if this continues, they would eventually make it to the Oakland side of the bridge. No idea how this person ended up there, if this person had driven at some point and ditched a car and then climbed out of the car. But at some point, this person was walking around on foot on the lower deck of the Bay Bridge, crawled over the railing and was basically scaling those rafters there, which is a very dangerous move. We don't know this person's mindset, but obviously, police have found this alarming enough to shut down partially the Bay Bridge for a time and to continue to monitor this person who is behaving quite erratically, if I might say. So, live pictures right now from our chopper as we watch this person walk on the upper deck of the Bay Bridge going counter traffic, so walking eastbound right now to the Oakland side. Luckily, does not appear to be jumping. So that's something that we, again, have a close eye on, even when we're showing you and making the decision to show you live pictures of something like this. All indications right now are that this person might be walking themselves off the Bay Bridge, which would certainly be good news for not only law enforcement, but all of the people that are tied up in traffic right now. Okay, we do have an officer from the CHP, a public information officer, joining us live to give us a little bit more insight on what's going on here. Officer Andrew Barclay, what can you tell us? Hello, Officer Barclay. Can you hear me? It's Ann Makovic here at KPIX. All right, we appear to be having some problems with that connection. Officer Barclay, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, very good. What can you tell us about what's going on right now? We're watching live pictures of this person walking on the upper deck of the Bay Bridge.
Yeah, well, obviously, if you're looking at those images, you can see that it is a precarious position to be in right now. So we continue to speak with this individual. We have crisis negotiators there as we try to bring this to a successful resolution, getting this individual off the bridge and into the help that they need. But the damage is being done as we speak. We have the number 1 and the number 5 lanes closed to allow our people to work.
And wait, just to be specific about this, number 1 and number 5 lanes. So those are the 2 outside lanes, and this is still on the lower deck, on the eastbound lanes.
Correct. Yes.
Do we have anything shut down on the westbound lanes?
Not that I'm seeing right now. I honestly have been speaking with you all for the last 5 minutes, so I haven't walked out to get any more updates yet. But I can tell you that I know that our negotiators, as well as San Francisco fire negotiators, continue to speak with this individual. Our goal, obviously, is to get it resolved as quickly as possible, but we also have to remain cognizant that ultimately we need to do what it takes to get this individual to safety.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about what goes into the decision of shutting down lanes, especially at a critical time. I mean, obviously, nobody wants to see a tragedy here with this person.
Of course. And I think the most important thing to remember is that our goal always is saving lives. And in this situation, if we have somebody who may be experiencing a mental health crisis, we take that incredibly seriously. We continuously weigh, having to close lanes versus keeping them open. And the units that are on scene, the supervisors, everybody there will continuously evaluate if there is something that can be reopened and still allow us to work safely. So it's an ongoing evaluation and process.
Okay, and when we're looking at the upper deck right now, because this all, again, started on the lower deck, that's where the lanes were originally closed. Now this person is on the upper deck, so might we see some closures here?
It's entirely possible. I mean, this is a very fluid situation that we have to continuously, change as this individual is changing where they are. Ultimately, would we love to be able to just, get this individual into custody? Yes. But we also have to be very careful because of where they are. So, again, just continuously evaluating that scenario, doing what we can to get this resolved safely, but also quickly.
And did you get any indication of what this person's mindset was?
Not that I'm aware of at this time. I would say, having worked at the Golden Gate Bridge for many years, every time that we have a situation like this, they all are different. And so you have to work with that scenario. We have very well-trained crisis negotiators, and we're fortunate to have crisis negotiators from San Francisco agencies as well. So between that group, the hope is obviously we're able to get that dialogue going and get that person to come back voluntarily.
So now we're seeing some cars might be pulling over and maybe the drivers of those cars trying to speak with this person. I would assume that that's something that you do not advise.
Absolutely not. And again, one of the biggest things that we talk about is developing a rapport with the individual that we're working with. And so, our goal is to get out there, talk with them. We have multiple crisis negotiators that can go up and get that dialogue going. So my best advice to people is, because we don't know what this person's mindset is, we don't know where they're at, we don't want anything to be said that could maybe cause them to become angered or upset or anything like that. So please allow emergency personnel to do their job.
So for people that are trying to get out of the city, I guess we might have an issue if we end up closing down some of the westbound lanes getting into the city. But right now, most of the trouble is getting out of the city, getting across the Bay Bridge. What would you tell somebody who's at work right now? They were planning on leaving at 5, but seeing this all go down.
Right. Yeah, I think my best advice is just to continue to monitor your media sources for updates. Also monitor the CHP San Francisco's X posts. We're providing updates as they become available. And ultimately, if you do need to leave soon, I would recommend using, various GPS apps that may be able to suggest alternate routes to get you to your destination. But for right now, until we, are able to resolve this, it appears these delays will continue.
Okay, so no timeline on this. I mean, is there a time when you say, okay, we're just going to have to try to physically remove this person?
A lot of that just depends on the situation. Obviously, if we have somebody who is on a railing over the bay, that's something we have to be incredibly careful about. So a lot goes into these situations, a lot of talking and continual evaluation to try to figure out what we can do to get it resolved. So I know that everybody on the ground right now at that scene is working hard to come up with that resolution.
Yeah, really, really difficult situation. Anything else you'd like to tell drivers who are, frustrated with this? Obviously, again, that one person's decisions can cause, people are going to be hours late for where they have to be, and they might have emergencies of their own.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing I can stress is while I understand absolutely, especially after a long day at work, people wanting to get home, and we are cognizant of that. Again, our biggest goal is to resolve this safely, but also do it as quickly as we can while not compromising that safety. We all work a shift as well, and we all want to go home at the end of our day. So believe me when I say we understand that people want to get on with their evening. So we will continue to work diligently to get this resolved as quickly as possible and get this individual the care that they need. All
right. Anything else you'd like to say?
No, thank you all so much for your patience. I will say I know it's frustrating, but thank you for letting us continue to work, and we hope to have good news soon.
All right. We certainly hope so, too, and appreciate your time. Get out there and get some more info for us, Officer Andrew Barclay with the CHP.
Take care.
And again, you are taking a live look at our traffic maps right now. We are tracking the real-time information about the delays getting onto the Bay Bridge, and they are significant right now, backing up on San Francisco city streets, getting onto the bridge to go eastbound. That is where all of this trouble started at about 20 minutes to 4, I would say, 20 minutes to 4. This afternoon, that is when somebody who appears to be having a mental health crisis ended up out of a vehicle, walking around the lower deck of the Bay Bridge, climbed over the railing, ended up on the rafters, climbing up the rafters to the upper deck of the Bay Bridge, to the westbound lanes. And that is where we see him right now. He's been walking around there. The CHP has not shut down any of those westbound lanes, but from the officer we just spoke with, that is something that they are considering as we speak. So we could be in for a very rough commute when it comes to both directions on the Bay Bridge. So the best advice is certainly to avoid that area. You've been watching live coverage here on CBS News Bay Area of something that is going to affect thousands of people's lives lives today when it comes to transportation. And we will let you know how this all gets resolved when it does.